blow the lid off Lenovo Center. Hurricanes a win away from a berth in the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in 20 years. The Canadiens 1 win away from taking the series back to Montreal. Game 5, Canadiens and Canes. Jakub Dobeš made a postseason high 40 saves on his birthday in Game 4. He leads the playoffs with 7 road victories. Frederik Andersen lost his first 8 closeout starts, but he is 6-1 over his last 7, and he comes off an 18-save shutout on Wednesday. Vegas awaits. Will this be the Canes' springboard to the Cup Final? Or Craig, can the Canadiens bounce forward one more time?
Well, you know, the one thing the Canadiens need to do is something they have not done this entire series. That's score the game's first goal. It's been 4 straight for the Carolina Hurricanes. You got to start checking some positive boxes on the road here for the Canadiens. Scoring first would be number 1.
And right away, they're going to give an odd man rush up. Here's a chance, and that one shot off the glove of Dobeš. What a chance. Right off the opening faceoff. Put back in by K'Andre Miller.
Almost the announcer's curse on that one. Couldn't ask for a better chance there. In all alone, and a big miss there for Carolina. Montreal dodges an early bullet.
This puck comes back to the line, threaded through, and that'll be gloved and held. Well, we expect them to be more aggressive, but that aggression almost cost them an early goal.
Yeah, and you know, it's just puck management. It's something that really hurt them in Game 4, and there's Blake with the quick stick. No chance for a pass across. He gets in all alone. He's got his head up the entire way, tries to go up and over the glove. Good positioning by Dobeš out aggressively at the top of his blue paint. Forces that shot a little bit high.
Interesting to note that Alex Newhook took the opening face-off, and of course, he's the Game 7 guy for Montreal. Canadiens have already faced elimination twice in the playoffs and have come through with Newhook scoring the game-winning goals in Game 7 against Tampa Bay and Buffalo. But Carolina going to work early. Aho, a shot, and the rebound is right back at Dobeš.
So this is what you have to change if you're Marty St. Louis. This is the way that Game 4, where the Carolina Hurricanes on their forecheck, they controlled the offensive zone, they supported each other so well, they cycled and turned over pucks, and here in 2 consecutive shifts, we're not even a minute into this one, and St. Louis' team has been back on their heels again. They got to make some plays under that pressure to get out of it.
Slavin misses the target. Cole Caulfield after it. The Suzuki line is out, and Rod Brind'Amour matches with Jordan Stahl's line as Nick Suzuki works it just inside the line. And now swung back into Montreal territory. Slafkovsky lost it in his skates. Going to come to Wheelers, turned aside by Dobeš, and that ends up out of play.
Got to get the nerves out. You can just see a little bit tentative. Not quite tape-to-tape passes, bobbling pucks a few times. This is a pass that you make 100 times, and that's one Slafkovsky just a little bit late on it, and Ehlers with another shot through. You know, you think of Dobeš in that Game 4. They got the 3 goals in the first period, but did he ever dig in? And he knows that he has to be sharp. He doesn't want to give up anything here. Try to keep his team alive.
Here come the Canadiens. Josh Anderson in. Scored a couple in Game 1 in this building. In behind the net, Deneau comes out in front. And back to the line for Hudson. Scoops it back into the corner. Deneau after it with K'Andre Miller draped on him. Anderson can't pull the trigger. It'll come back to the line, and Struble sends it wide. Texier at the side of the net. Trying to get it back from K'Andre Miller, put it in front. And that jumped the stick of Anderson. Good pushback shift, and now Hudson draws a penalty as he got spun around by Svechnikov. Dobeš has gone to the bench for an extra attacker as the puck slides back into Montreal territory. Out comes Suzuki and the top line, and puck broken up at the line as Dobson couldn't get in. They'll reset once again.
Yeah, good job. Take your time here. You get an opportunity to basically be on a power play before you get it. No sense of rushing, no hurry here at all. You got fresh guys out on the ice.
Slafkovsky backpedals. Now Suzuki to the line, trying to work in, checked by Slavin, penalty to Svechnikov upcoming.
In the pregame show, they were talking about just unlock Lane Hudson. Let him do what he does best, and it's this kind of evadability. Just a great little spin-a-rama. Svechnikov gets the foot out there in an early power play, something to get something positive going. The talk in this series, though, the last 3 games has been the shots. You know, a 3-game span, the lowest amount of shots ever in playoff history. You got to erase that mindset now, Chris. Everything has to have that mind to get to the net. You have to make this a difficult game for Frederik Andersen. He's barely been tested since that 10-minute mark of that first period where the Canadiens were able to get 4.
Suzuki gets waved there, a little slow to get up after that stumble. It'll be Slavkovsky on the faceoff. Puck comes free, and Martinook will slide the backhand down. Canadiens were 0 for 2 in Game 4. They're 1 for 8 in the series. Caulfield kicks it back. And again, Suzuki for the entry. And they call offside at the line.
Well, another strength of this Carolina team, though, has been their penalty kill. Just 1 goal in the 16 opportunities their last 6 games throughout this playoffs. Second best penalty kill in the National Hockey League at 93.8, and Rod Brindamore prides himself. He was that as a player, and his team has been very detailed in this penalty killing all playoffs long.
Boy, they're exhibit A for that theory that to be successful in the playoffs, you don't need a great power play if you have great penalty killing. 11.8 on the power play, 93.8% penalty killing for Carolina. Canadiens trying to get in. Suzuki will roll it deep. Andersen poked it, and that one linked to Caulfield, who almost caught Andersen out of the net. Over it comes to Demidov. He'll swing it in. Demidov scored in Game 1. He's up high here, and that ricocheted to the net, and Andersen seemed caught by surprise.
That hit the post. The deflection, didn't see it at all.
Caulfield hands it off. Demidov from the corner. Suzuki checked on the play, but gets it back from Slavin. Up high, it's Ivan Demidov. No shot yet. Rink wide it goes. Suzuki, Hudson, great pass. Slavkovsky trying to go back door. And Andersen stuffed it with Cole Caulfield loose. And now it's swung back out to center. So the second unit comes on with under a half minute to go. Is that a Slavkovsky shot, or was he going back door?
Well, I think the pass was so hard he wasn't able to one-time it. It surprised him a little bit, so he had to double clutch there and just tried to get it to that area, maybe for a tip-in.
Around it comes and sent along the boards out of the reach of Texier on the far side of Bolduc. A power play goal for Bolduc in front, and Newhook unable to convert that opportunity. Only got a couple looks. But another successful Carolina kill.
Well, you know that gives the home team a little bit of momentum, a little bit of energy, but that was not a power play that didn't generate chances. Couple of good ones. Don't let it get you down. Get back to playing some hard 5-on-5 here.
There's Zach Bolduc in the Carolina zone. Cycles it for Deneau. Andersen gives it back to the veteran Deneau. Up high, he'll play that to the net off Andersen, and it caroms into the corner. Dobson's in deep. And out with the puck, Carrier. He gets bumped at center as Andersen steps into him. Now loose on this side, Eric Robinson, and that'll be gloved and held by Dobish.
Well, a lot of movement on that power play. You can sense, you know how aggressive the Canes are. Here's that tip. Look at Andersen. He did not see that at all. He actually whiffed on it, and it went down underneath. This hard pass just a little bit off. So Slavkovsky not able to get the one-timer, not even really able to get his hard shot. And then there's that bottom hand. You got to get it lower down on your stick there. Try to get a little bit more tension on your stick to turn that one over. And you can see the frustration of Newhook. He knew he had a glorious opportunity on the doorstep there.
So that's the good sign. 5 minutes in and a couple of grade A chances for Montreal. Dobish out of the net to play that. So Caden Gooley was a question mark until the warm-up, but Gooley is ready to go again. 49 hits, 39 block shots. He has been a physical force in these playoffs. After it is Evans trying to center it for Newhook. That bounces over Newhook's stick, and Jackson Blake's out along with Stankoven. Here's Logan Stankoven over the line. Works it back across. Give and go play here broken up, and Montreal gets it back. Demidov up ahead. It'll be ruled in by Newhook. DeAndre Miller. Both teams changing as Miller idles behind his net. Svechnikov has come on. Here's Stahl with the puck. Jordan Stahl over the line. Watched there by Struble. Played past Hudson. A centering pass, and Marner with a shot that went off the skate of Hudson in front. Slavkovsky works it loose. Here's Suzuki in. Nick Suzuki wide. He'll hook it in front and right out of the blue paint. It'll be backhanded away. And an icing call against Carolina.
Check out 3-goal early payout brought to you by Bet365. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
There's great defensive positioning there by Ehlers, but that was a tough play too. A hard pass across. He made sure he didn't deflect that one in. Had a good stick, able to control it and clear it away, but he did ice it, giving Montreal an offensive zone power or opportunity on a faceoff.
Joe Veleno digs in on the drop. No changes to the Canadiens lineup for game number 5 as Doc battles in the corner. Kirby Doc trying to get away, and now Bolduc pops out. He's taken hard to the boards. Puck kept in at the line, and now bounces out to center. Bounce back in. That's offside. So no score, 7:09 in, but a grade A chance off the opening face-off tonight.
Can't imagine the emotions running through Frederik Andersen the last couple days with the sudden passing of Claude Lemieux. He was the agent of Andersen. The two were very close. Understandably, he was not in a place to talk about it this morning. The team, of course, had the conversation with him to make sure he was okay starting tonight. Andersen got the call from the Lemieux family just before the team flew home from Montreal yesterday. He said the other day that Claude was like family, so he's playing with a very heavy heart here tonight, Chris.
Indeed, so close that Claude actually asked him if he thought it would be okay for Claude to have that torch ceremony against Frederik Andersen's team in game number 3. And that was news that shocked all of us.
Yeah, it really was. Sad, and send our condolences to the Lemieux family.
Dobson puts a puck on goal. Here's Martinook with it. Up past Ehlers. That'll roll back into Montreal ice. Stahl trying to catch up to it. He's cut off there by Matheson. Canadians work it loose. Caulfield. Slavkovsky had it stolen there by Seth Jarvis. Jarvis put it in front. Knocked back to the line. Montreal there. And a back pass for Caulfield doesn't work. Carolina back in as Jarvis spins it to the corner. Dobson around. Aho on it. Yeah, to the line that stays in the Canadian zone. And now Slavkovsky works it ahead. Here's Texier. Chipping and charging. Up against Miller. Stick breaks on the play. Andersen arrives on the forecheck. It's played back into Montreal territory. Caden Gooley wait until everything's to his liking. Now fires it out to center ice off Andersen. And into the zone. They're going to call that icing against Montreal.
Check out 3-goal early payout brought to you by Bet365. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Just a little bit of a sloppy play there. You got a set breakout and a stationary one, and Dooley unable to find anyone, just overcooked that one a little bit, and an offensive zone face-off there. A big win by Deneau in his own zone.
A little slow to get up is Taylor Hall in the Montreal zone. Here's Deneau onto the left side. Deneau looking for a return pass. Sharp angle shot to the side of the Carolina net. Worked ahead. Hall's okay. Taylor Hall back in. Slides it through to the inboards, and Hall on it again. Back to Gostisbehere. And across, and Dobish able to stop that hot shot. Jackson Blake brings it back in. Here's Blake. Stankoven to the net. Scores! Taylor Hall with the final touch, and it's 5 straight games that Carolina has scored first.
Well, here's how this shift started for Hall. He gets taken down there by Texier. Didn't draw a penalty, slow to get up, but man, when you get an opportunity at the net, how about this play by Blake down to Stankoven and then just a drive to the net? Good things happen when you drive to the net, and that's something Carolina has really tried to focus on. Dobish makes the first save. Hall gets in there second, able to find that loose puck and poke it back. Are they calling offside, or are they calling goaltender interference? We'll get the call here.
Montreal is challenging that there's goalie interference.
There we go. So, Jean Hebert and Garrett Rank will get another look.
So if you remember in Game 4, you had a timeout by Marty St. Louis. Here is Hall coming in, and does he push the pad of Dobish going back? You know, the big thing is their contact before. Contact by Stankoven as he's going at the puck. I think you got to accept that to a degree because he's trying to stuff it through. Boy, this is going to be an interesting one. Stankoven on the blocker of Dobish right after he makes the play. He goes over and he doesn't allow Dobish to get settled and through. And I think this is just for Marty St. Louis. Take the risk. You have an impact here. If you're able to win this one, you give yourself and your team a little bit of a boost.
So at first you're wondering, did Hall push the pad, but it's more Stankoven.
I think it would be Stankoven getting on the stick. After he makes the shot, he kind of leans right on the blocker and stick and doesn't allow the movement for Dobish. Nobody put him in. He went in there on his own accord. And here's the call.
Coach's challenge, video review. It was determined that there was no goaltender interference. Therefore, we have a goal. Montreal just has a bench minor penalty for delay of game.
So a double whammy. The goal stands, and now the Canadiens will be a man short.
Well, and I don't think Marty St. Louis is getting any answers here. He wants someone to come talk to him, and I don't think he's going to get it. I think they're just saying, nope, we've said our piece. And, you know, on the initial play, when you're the puck carrier, you can go in and get a little bit of contact. You can see Dobish doesn't like the end result. Of course not. Well, you talk about a big penalty kill here, Chris. This is the epitome of that. Down again, as you said, for the 5th time in this series early on, and a huge kill for the Montreal Canadiens to just keep it at 1.
Bolduc will serve the penalty. First power play of the night for Carolina. 1 for 6 in Game 4, 1 for 14 in the postseason in this series. In comes Ehlers. Back it goes for Svechnikov. Shane Gostisbehere had a pair of assists in Game 4. Ehlers downhill, fires right on. Puck ends up on the stick of Jarvis. And now across for Ehlers. Back to Jarvis. Gostisbehere returns it. Jarvis from the corner. Watched by Carrier. And now Svechnikov. Gostisbehere fanned on it. Canadiens can't clear. Aho around. Aho, the power play goal on Wednesday night. His 11th career postseason power play goal. That's a Carolina record. Along the boards, and Canadiens up with it and do get a clear. So Hall is 5th from Stankoven and Blake. And Hall with a pair of goals in this series, scored in Game 3. Has it again, bringing it in. Rolled into the slot for Stankoven. His shot, and Dobish has that.
Again, for Dobish, get rid of the frustration that Kelly talked about, his energy. I think he's right. He's having a conversation with the official, trying to get the answer that Marty St. Louis wasn't able to. He obviously felt that there was contact that didn't allow him to get across, and I don't think there's any question there was contact. They just deemed that it didn't affect. So a tough break for Montreal early, but a good kill to start here.
Stankoven with a face-off win, and now swings it off. Comes back to Hall and Miller. Keandre Miller's been terrific in this series. Watched there by Deneau. Anderson, the other Montreal penalty killer. That shot doesn't get to the net, and it's sent down the ice by Anderson. Back in comes Carolina. Stankoven after it. Dobish played it away. Jackson Blake checked, and Montreal's out. Jake Evans at center. He was pushed off the puck, but following up here, it's Newhook over the line. Evans with the lone shorthanded goal for Montreal in these playoffs. Jackson Blake works back in. Bolduc on the ice. Canadians got the kill. That shot rolling just wide of the net. On the move is Hall. Gave it away. There's Bolduc down the ice. They were changing. Slavin's come on. Bolduc come back in, and that goes high and out. So Taylor Hall, the goal scorer, and after that, the Canadians able to kill the ensuing penalty, but once again, the Canes drop first blood.
Logan Stankoven has only known deep playoff runs since coming to the NHL. 2 years ago, a rookie with the Stars reached the conference final before being knocked out by the Oilers. Last year here with the Hurricanes, third round again before losing to the eventual champions. Taylor Hall said to his two line mates, Stankoven and Jackson Blake, "This is not normal. You're not supposed to be playing this late into the spring so often to start your career." An assist to begin here tonight, trying to be on the right side of this handshake line in this series, Chris.
All of that line into double digits now. Stankoven with his 10th point, 14 for Hall. And Blake. Here's Jordan Martinook. Jordan Stahl. Tracked there by Suzuki. Stahl works it back to the line. Jalen Chatfield. Took that shot. It went wide. Played in behind the net. Suzuki with an outlet that came out in front. Dobish with a top stop there, and he'll sit on it after Suzuki's pass ended up on a Carolina stick.
Just turnovers in the defensive zone again. It's just happening far too often, but you tap your goaltender and say thanks for the bailout. Just another great play. Two Canadians down low. That leaves right in front there as Martinook took not one but two close chances. Puck comes right past Struble. The rebound there, but look at the athleticism and good cover up behind by Lane Hudson. He gets down, puts his stick along the ice behind his goaltender just in case anything snuck through.
It's not the first time we've seen Lane Hudson do that. There's Gostisbehere getting rid of it at center. And on it is Stankoven again. Here's Jackson Blake to the net and rolled that wide. Stankoven left it, and out comes Montreal. Newhook took a jolt in front of the Carolina bench. An aerial to center, a bouncing puck gets out of the reach of Blake. Demidov redirects. Dobson is plated away to the line. That's picked off by Svechnikov. And a glove stop by Dobish. All the stars coming out for Canada's biggest night in film and television. The 2026 Canadian Screen Awards, hosted by Andrew Fung, Sunday at 8 Eastern on CBC and CBC Gem. And we have producer Jeff Jordat, a Canadian Screen Awards winner.
Congratulations.
Calling the shots tonight.
In our headsets. Congratulations, Jeff. Great honor to a great producer.
Here's Miller off the draw, tied up, and he'll get it back from Slavkovsky. That shot changed direction. Dobish got bumped. There's going to be a penalty. An interference call coming up against Svechnikov, who ran into Dobish on a flyby past the Montreal net.
Well, here's one you got to take advantage of here. You know, Dobish already, the contact that he had here, this is just him getting back in. And, you know, he initiates it, but that's his crease. The crowd is reacting to this, but it's a penalty because you can't go skating underneath the goaltender. You got to give him the laneway to get there. Svechnikov doesn't like it. Love, again, the aggressiveness of Dobish. He's not afraid to interact with anybody, and you're right, he initiated, but that's contact where Svechnikov can't be taking that route. Huge power play here for the Canadiens.
Say the Canadiens were not credited with a shot on their first power play. Did have a couple of looks. The usual compliment out as Suzuki tries to get it set up. Over the line they come. He gets it back from Slafkovsky. Watched by Chatfield. Caulfield swings it to the near side. Here's Demidov. He lost it, and Stahl sends away Martinic, who steers it in and gets a change on the penalty kill.
Just super aggressive penalty kill again. You know, they attack. They look at numbers. They go and they pressure quickly. You have to have someone for close support to alleviate that pressure.
Demidov for Suzuki. That doesn't work. Sean Walker around, and that jumped the stick of Caulfield and pass Hudson down the ice. So 50 seconds gone in the power play. Here's Alex Texier to the line. He'll fire it around. Kirby Dach on this near side. Tip past him by Miller, but backing him up was Newhook. Far side Texier. Back around for Dach. Trying to redirect that to Newhook. Alex Newhook sizes it up. Bolduc to the line. Here's the shot out of the reach of Dach, looking for a tip in front. And Carolina clears. They have killed 46 of 49 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Hurricanes. Back in Montreal, sifting through. It's Texier. And taken away. Off the board, Shankowski. Texier knocked that down. Dach behind the net. Kirby Dach tied up, trying to kick it loose for Newhook. Chatfield for Robinson. Off the boards, and Robinson's out, along with Jankowski. Here's Robinson, and Dobish, top of the crease to stop that. So the power play done. The Canadiens unable to put any pressure on, and Eric Robinson with a chance at the end of it.
Martin St. Louis mentioned to his group the times he came back from 3-1 down as a player. Lane Hudson actually asked Nick Suzuki about this series against Toronto back in 2021 when they were down 3-1. One game 5 on the road and 1 in 7. Suzuki said everything changed for our group just winning that one game 5. The confidence went to a new place. Suddenly it was a brand new outlook. That is all the focus for Montreal here tonight. Not winning 3, just 1 on the road to completely change the outlook, Chris.
Marty told his team, I've done it twice as a player. No, you get it 3 times. He'd forgotten
one already?
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of it. Down 3-1 against Winnipeg in 90, came back and we're down 3-1 in game 5 actually on home ice. 2 goals in 13 seconds. Flipped that game and flipped the whole series.
Scooped in behind the net. Taylor Hall's on it. The goal scorer for Carolina. Pass to Stankovic. The best line early in the playoffs for Carolina's been the best line for Carolina tonight.
Yeah, it's woken up, President, and it's just winning all the little individual battles. Again, the cycle game. Look at Matheson. He's afraid he's going to take a penalty with his stick wrapped around, so he drops it. That allows Hall to take this route, and a just perfect pass and an even better shot. Right through the screen there. and up and over. The one thing Carolina has continued to do, you saw the breakaway early on. They're trying to go high, and that time Stankoven had the sights zoned in when this crowd was to such a huge second goal.
That's 9 for Logan Stankoven, who had 6 in the first 5 games. And a 2-0 Carolina lead. Hall and Nikishin the assists at 15-12. Jake Evans. Hudson unable to control that. Here comes Svechnikov. Checked inside the line. Newhook drops. Evans is in. Along with Demidov. Can't get the shot off against Miller. Taken to the boards by Miller. Kicked loose. Aho ahead and Seth Jarvis. Off the stick, Jarvis, and Lane Hudson tumbles down. As Gooley circles back behind the Montreal net.
Boy, Gooley he was joining that rush there, and Demidov didn't see him. He had an opportunity to hit the trailer, the D-man, and just lost control. Didn't even get a shot away.
That puck fired into the Carolina bench.
So face-offs are so important, and you know, coming in, the advantage was for Montreal, but Carolina has chipped away at that off of Veleno in the draw. Veleno's got him for a second, but as soon as it goes to the other side, he's just a little late getting there, not getting the shooting lane. And another fourth line for Marty St. Louis, trying to get some ice time for them. A lost face-off seconds later makes it 2-0.
Here's a chance for the Canadiens, and Anderson with a stop. Slavkovsky back to the line. Dobson can't get it through. Caulfield on it. Martinick off the boards. And Jalen Chatfield will carry out to center. Red line and in.
Maybe the best chance, though, for this line. It's a good slot shot there by Slavkovsky. A good save for Anderson. But, Chris, something that they just haven't been able to get. Second or third chances have just been non-existent in this series.
Mentioned that refrain from Marty St. Louis prior to the last game. Maybe a break here. Eric Robinson with speed. Scores! Robinson, who scored in games 1 and 2, has scored again in game 5.
Well, how about the play by Carrier? Just you saw him take a little peek, knowing his winger on the other side is blowing the zone. A hang time into the middle, just a flip pass, and how about the series Robinson is having? Just glorious. This fourth line has just given Rod Brindamore so much confidence to play them in key situations. Robinson with his third game now in this series. He's put the puck in the back of the net.
William Carrier and Frederick Anderson get assists on the third of the playoffs for Eric Robinson. Undrafted, and Rod Brindamore talked about a guy that was a late bloomer that's become a key element in this Carolina lineup.
And it's just death by 1,000 cuts with this Carolina team. You try to focus on shutting down Aho. You haven't even said his name in this game. It's the Stankoven line that has played such a great playoff, and that fourth line has really been the difference.
So 3 first-period goals in Game 4 and a 2:47 span, and 3 first-period goals here tonight for Carolina. Prior to that, the Canadiens had been the best first-period team in the playoffs. Prior to Game 4, they were +9 in the first period, -6 in the last 2 games. And the shot count now 16-4. Last 2 goals come in a 1-minute 40-second span. Bolduc is in. Early in the playoffs, it was Montreal's fourth line that was chipping in. Aho out there, working the corner. Comes free for Svechnikov. Back for Nikishin, who has his first point of the playoffs. And Nikishin ducking away from Bolduc. Swinging back. Playing it to the line for Gostisbehere. In behind the net, trying to get it to Jarvis. Broken up and flipped to the line, and that'll get gloved down by Boleno. Jarvis heading off. He'll play it back into the Montreal zone first. Hall, Stankoven, and Robinson. Demidov for the Canadiens. On to the right side, Evans in the final minute. Sends it in behind the net. Anderson almost had his pocket picked by Demidov. And now bounced out. Robinson takes off again. This time well covered on the play as Matheson got back.
But again, last minute of a period, that fourth line out there. I mean, that's Rod Brind'Amour. There's not a lot of line matching. You just trust your process, trust your team, and couldn't have asked for much of a better period on home ice for Carolina.
There's Caulfield, and Suzuki was bumped at the line, and it puts the play offside.
So now if you're Montreal, you dealt with this scenario in Game 4 on home ice. Marty St. Louis shuffled the lines, heard the guys in the pregame show, said, how long do you wait? I think Ryan Strome was saying, okay, maybe the second commercial break. Well, you've been scored on now. After that, I can't believe that you wouldn't see a little shuffling of the deck here coming to the second period.
Wayne Hudson fanned on that as he tried to shoot it in. Stahl plays it ahead. Lost stick there for Martinook. Struble in the late stages flipping it away. That'll bounce down, and Sean Walker back to get it as the clock drains. And period comes to close. 8th time in these playoffs that the Canadiens have been held to 5 shots or fewer. And they give up 3 in the opening period. Hall, Stankoven, and Robinson.
Spot, skip forward 15 seconds. Button, skip.
Late early here in Game 5.
The competition heats up in Morocco in the Diamond League. Top-level track and field athletes will compete Saturday on CBC and CBC Gem. Rod Brind'Amour refuses to number his lines, Craig Simpson. So how about Eric Robinson and his line mates?
Yeah, he doesn't like to use 1, 2, 3, or 4, but every good team, every Stanley Cup winning team has these kind of moments of players that aren't the offensive juggernaut during the regular season, but come up with big plays in the postseason. 12 goals on the year for Robinson. All of a sudden, he scored in 3 of the 5 games, and this fourth line in the first 2 rounds combined for just 2 assists. Here's the work they have done in the 5 games to this point, and it really is a difference maker. It's something that the Montreal Canadiens and Marty St. Louis don't have on their roster. The matchup to go up against them for Rod Brind'Amour, they're the momentum changer. And Chris, I can't help but think of Paul Maurice at the end of the Stanley Cup last year again, talking, I want my fourth line out there for that last shift. The value that it had for the Florida Panthers on their 2 back-to-back wins was really evident. And I just look at Rod Brind'Amour. He's got that in his whatever line number you want to call it.
We can't quote him verbatim, but he was emphatic when he sent his fourth line out for the final shift last year to clinch the Stanley Cup. Think of William Carrier was a fourth line guy on the Vegas team that won a Stanley Cup, and now looking to earn a spot to face his old team in a Stanley Cup final. Still some work to be done. 3-0 after 1 period of play here in Game 5. Demidov to work over the line.
Hurt. He got
Goalie and Martinook were tangled up, and Goalie slow to get back. He's got to get in with Jarvis, and a rebound chance, and that bounced just wide. Took a while for Goalie and Martinook to unpile.
He's still hurt.
He's still stuck out there. And now a penalty coming up.
Well, you know, players come this time of year, they play through everything, and Goulet is feeling it there. He just got rolled underneath. It looked like his body went in a strange way. He's going after the puck. Looked like his right knee was caught underneath, and he's in some pain there as Martinique's a big body. And lo and behold, you know, he gets up and looks, and it's all of a sudden a scoring chance for Carolina. He does all that he can, and here's just, when you're chasing the game a little bit, you get behind, no question, right in front of the official. Jarvis down, and Suzuki to the box.
So the second power play of the night for Carolina. And Stahl on the draw. It's pulled back by Evans. Evans out along with Anderson to start on the kill. Evans along the boards, and now it comes back to Stankoven and across. Down low, Hall across, and Stankoven unable to convert. Well set up. Jackson Blake. Rick wide, Stankoven. That ricocheted off. Anderson hit his glove. He's checking his hand after that. Logan Stankoven, a goal scorer in the opening period. Across it goes to Hall. Stankoven trying to get available. Bumps it back to Hall. And now Miller. Jackson Blake on the near side. He goes the other way. Logan Stankoven. And off the stick of Evans, but stays in. Off the skate of Evans and stays in. And now Evans breaks that up and hooks it out. And back into Carolina territory. So the Canadiens change their penalty killers. Into the second minute as Deneau comes on with Newhook. Sebastian Aho. In they come onto the left side. A centering pass broken up there by Goulet. So right back to work is Caden Goulet.
So you can just tell the intensity here for Montreal. You cannot allow anything more now. You got to start chipping away at the 3-goal lead. So this penalty kill, stay as aggressive as you can. Take away those passing and shooting lanes.
Jarvis blows the tire, lost the puck. Deneau working his way into the zone. It's onside as Deneau with a shot off the right pad of Anderson. 15 seconds remaining in the Suzuki penalty. Slash onto the hands of Gostisbehere, but he keeps going. Gostisbehere, Nikishin, a +3. A bouncing puck there that Dobush had a little trouble with, but gets the clear. So no shots on the power play for Carolina. And Montreal back to full strength as Chatfield sends it in. Around it goes. Off. Suzuki after it on this near side. Hudson. And now Nick Suzuki starts out. Here's Caulfield dancing through center. Slavkovsky into Caulfield's corner. Pass Suzuki back to Slavkovsky. Juraj Slavkovsky. A hat trick in the opening game of the playoffs. That puck bounces out of play.
Get game-changing internet and Canada's most reliable internet. Rogers Xfinity. We got you.
You know, body language says a lot. You can tell which team has everything going, and Slavkovsky just a little bit disappointed and frustrated there. And, you know, Kevin talked in the pregame show about having some patience with your cycle in the offensive zone, and there was another case of just not able to create an open ice. It passes, there's a stick getting in the way, and it becomes frustrating, and you have to find a way to create something. And to this point, the defense of these Hurricanes has just been the difference. Power play coming up, though, for Montreal as
Bueno took a high stick. And will there be 2 minutes or 4 on the board?
Carolina penalty number 21, 2 minutes, high sticking.
So minor penalty to Alexander Nikishin.
So watch this, the box out happening here. Veleno, and yeah, just an errant stick there by Nikishin. rides up on the stick of Veleno. So your fourth line goes out there for a face-off. They get you a power play. That you can't ask for a better contribution than that. Now your power play has to pay it off. And Chris, again, you have to find some semblance of hope. You got to get some energy in your bench, and a power play goal would do it.
Got to get pucks to the net. 0 for 2 with no shots on the first 2 power plays of the night. Here's Demidov. Slavkovsky back to Hudson. He'll shoot it, and a deflection there, stopped by Anderson. And around it goes, and that puck will slide out to center. Martinook on the kill. Jordan Stahl's gone to the bench, and now Martinook joins him. As Aho and Jarvis come on. Suzuki in. Tries to get it back. Slavkovsky deep behind the net. Back out to Caulfield and Hudson. Here's Suzuki in front, and Caulfield handcuffed, couldn't corral that pass. Wayne Hudson drops it off. Down low, in front, and again, Caulfield unable to convert on that play from Demidov.
Yeah, good ideas, good plays, and that's one of the ways to break that intense pressure when they're chasing so quickly. Those quick passes just barely missed twice on the backside there for Caulfield.
Hudson trying to work his way in. Miller with it, and off the boards and down. 5 minutes into the second period. And just over a half minute remaining in the third Montreal power play. The second unit comes on. Noah Dobson leads them in. He'll fire it around, and Kirby Dach on that far side had it jump his stick, and there's a clear for Mark Jankowski. Again, Dobson with Newhook. Back to Dobson. Can't break through. Keandre Miller's got it. And off the boards and down the ice. So they're 0 for 3, one shot. Couple of close calls, but they haven't found a way to beat Frederik Andersen yet. And Andersen came into the second period with a shutout streak of 129 minutes, 23 seconds, and counting. Dobson watched by Hall. He gives it up Stankoven. Back to the far side. Evans will get there. Checked by Blake. And the Canadiens having trouble connecting here. Chatfield moves it in. Blake far side. Taken away by Deneau. Phil Deneau will try and take charge. Up on the right side. That bounces past Evans. Off Stankoven, and here come the Canadiens. Working in is Jake Evans, trying to shift gears and go to his forehand, and that's stopped by Andersen as it comes back to the line. Across for Dooley, into the slot. Trying to get away is Deneau. Leaned on by Slavin. Moving up, it's Carrier. Slavin pries that to the far side, and Evans gets there. Deneau changing. Gooley put it to the net off his skate in front. Retrieved there by Evans. Can't get it to the line, and now maybe a break the other way. Taylor hauls in. Hall to the net. Stop. Rebound. Scores. Jackson Blake. So each member of that line has scored, and it's 4-0 Carolina.
And again, it's just work ethic over some bad plays with the puck here. Evans, 1-on-2, turns it over and then makes a bad change. That creates a 3-on-1, a little outlet pass, and a great job just following and staying out of the traffic. You know, sometimes you get too close to it. Taylor Hall has the inside, so Blake doesn't get in too tight. Cooley has to go after Hall. Nobody there on the doorstep. You cannot again blame Dobish for that one. He made the tough first save, but the rebound there for Blake, who was left all alone. And just like that, it's 4-0.
1st and 5 for Blake, his 5th of the playoffs. Stankoven and Hall on the assists. 7:19.
Number 71, Taylor Hall.
Svechnikov battling. It comes loose for Hudson. Alex Newhook. Approaching 8 minutes of the second period. Lane Hudson redlining in. Anderson deflects that. It'll come to Caulfield. He lost it in his skates, but gets it to Suzuki. Demidov out there now, back door, and a backhand that hits the side of the net. So there's a change with Demidov out there along with Caulfield and Suzuki.
Yeah, I like the fact that Demidov out there. Blake, the recipient of just following up the play. Taylor Hall wins the battle inside. Dobish can't quite get across. Slides to his right. That one through the 5-hole. That line continues to flourish. Evans frustrated sitting on the bench.
Jordan Staal lived through years here as a Hurricane where the building was maybe half full, not playoff bound. He said yesterday he thought Game 4 was their best game all year, that they wanted to keep the machine running. It has been more machine-like efficiency through nearly the first half of this Game 5 for Carolina, Chris.
He has seen it all, now playing in his 175th Stanley Cup playoff game. And a winner back in 2009. Danault rink wide, so Slavkovsky's with Danault and Caulfield here. So it gets changed up here as Marty St. Louis looks to crack the code some way or another. Well, you don't want to offer up excuses, but one team clearly has looked fresher as this series has gone on. One team's played. They're ready to blow the lid off Lenoir.
Montreal faithful.
Games the other 19
yeah,
in the postseason.
It really is showing, especially these last two games. You go to games 2 and 3 in overtime, could go either way.
Back to Slavin. Jacob Slavin. And that kind of heeled into the corner.
Those are Hurricane fans, by the way, not Montreal faithful.
They've learned the words. Yeah.
We talked about the rust for all the days off, the 11 days for Carolina. It cost them dearly in game number 1 in first period, but since then it's been clear that rest has really been well-deserved, and they've taken advantage of it.
And they earned it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They swept the first 2 rounds, and that's the benefit that they're enjoying now.
Well, they look to become just the 3rd team to go 12-1. The 1968 Montreal Canadiens, 12-1, won the Cup that year. 76, you only had to win 12 to win the Cup back then, and you can see Rod Brind'Amour just staying as focused as ever, but this team looks like it's on its way to that one. This has been another solid effort. They just have not given Montreal any chance to find anything positive to build off of, and that's what you're trying to do on home ice. It's been a tough battle to create.
Been a carbon copy of Wednesday night?
Yeah, sure is.
Mike Matheson to work. There's Matheson getting it to the red line. He'll go after it, get there first, get it to Doc. Back around for Bolduc. Far side, Matheson still in. He'll play it back in, looking for Doc. Bolduc there in support. Now Goulet's come on. Rink wide, and that shot floats high off the stick of Carrier. Dump back into the Canadian zone. Here's Goulet. Off the boards, knocked down there by Sean Walker at the line. William Carrier has gone off as Alexander Carrier plays it in. Sebastian Aho. That's off the glove of Anderson. Out comes Carolina. Over the line, Aho Svechnikov took a high stick, and a penalty is coming. Svechnikov looked at one official, the other behind him, had the call, and here it comes. So a high sticking penalty, and once again, Montreal going to be shorthanded as Hudson gets the
Pause.
stick.
Skip backwards. Speech.
Your eyes go through a lot, like staring at those.
A coming-of-age playoff run in a lot of ways. Not many expected them to get this far as the youngest team in the postseason. 13 players aged 25 or younger. Antoine Roussel, a former player who's been covering the Canadiens here for the French broadcaster, TVA, had a good line for the players, and that don't buy into the idea that you're young and that the window of contention is just opening and that nothing is guaranteed beyond this year. To not let this opportunity slip. It has not been for a lack of effort, but after back-to-back 7-game triumphs, both on the road, you wonder how much gas is left in the tank, Chris.
And now to kill the penalty as Carolina goes to its third power play of the night. A pass across for Stankoven. A goal scored tonight. That puck comes back out to center. Well, a great learning experience this postseason has been for Montreal, but they're taking some lumps here at the end of it.
You can't let that deter all the good things that have come along the way and the journey to get here. Just the growth, as Marty St. Louis has said. I love the fact that the guys are getting the opportunity. Open your eyes to what it's like to play in this type of a environment.
Stankoven drops it. Blake has it. Back to Keandre Miller and across. Here's a shot, and it caroms into the corner. Blake into the slot. Stankoven again drops for Hall. Jackson Blake across. Taylor Hall. Here's Miller. Nick Ehlers. Just think about game 2 here, and if Ehlers doesn't score in overtime, how different the series might have been. Ehlers downhill behind the net, leaves for Blake, and he missed the target.
And then add that a Suzuki breakaway in game 3. You know, conceivably, Montreal could have been up 3-0.
Oh, that off the crossbar. There was room up top there for Stankoven.
How about this line? They love the fact that they get a power play together, too. They connect so well 5-on-5, even more so here in the power play opportunities as a line.
There's Miller. Launched by Dobson. Hall behind the net. Knocked away from him by Suzuki. Goulet goes after it. Rides his man into the boards with a shot at the end of it. That drew a reaction from the crowd, but not from the officials. And Montreal clears as Hudson returns.
So now if you're Montreal, you've got to get something. Just get one. Get something to get some energy on your bench.
Another power play that didn't generate a shot. They did get a crossbar, but no shots on goal. That's one area that Rod Brind'Amour will like to improve on. Here's Texier swinging it back to Matheson. Mike Matheson moving in front, and Anderson can't convert. Anderson up with the rebound. Back to Matheson. Texier has trouble with that along the boards, and now Seth Jarvis to the near side for Svechnikov. And the Freddie chance start here at Lenovo.
Well, the power play looking to try to make it 5. Stankoven, as I said, this line has been so good. He goes up and over the shoulder, a little late reacting. Goulet in the corner with a hard takedown again. Man, it's been one heck of a game. You know that he's dealing with some injury, now dealing with some frustration coming off, but that's a really important kill still. I said you focus on each shift coming up, try to find something to build itself off of. Not often you hear the goaltender's name being called when he's only faced 8 shots. You know, that's, again, another quiet night for Freddie Anderson.
Here's Slavin's shot. It blocked in front and sent back out. Somebody asked Rod Brind'Amour, it looked pretty easy for Freddie Anderson back there, and he wasn't going to say it was easy, but he says Anderson has throughout the year made it look easy. He's pretty economical with his style. But the Canadiens have not put him to the test, have they? Jake Evans knocked down. Martin a shot, and a much busier goaltender at the other end as a glove save. So 5:33 remaining here in the second as the Hurricanes try to punch their ticket.
Well, one of the reasons why Rod Brind'Amour doesn't like numbering his lines is because he feels that they all have an impact into the game. Here's the Stanley Cup playoffs 2026. Look at the distribution 5-on-5. That Stankoven line that was just out there for the power play has purely dominated. And they have, when after the second round, you see Taylor Hall there, he had 12 points. The Carolina Hurricanes had 24 goals. He was in on 50%. That line has just been something that when Rod Brind'Amour asked Stankoven to go to center ice, he said, okay, I'll find my way. The chemistry has been amazing, and those numbers show the reason why.
Interesting that Taylor Hall, Rod Brind'Amour said he didn't know much about him when he came over, and for a while he had him on the fourth line.
Yeah.
But he wanted to see where he might fit. They found the right fit. Down goes Aho. Gooley an outlet, Newhook trying to get it ahead. Newhook with Suzuki here. And Demidov to the net, deflecting that wide of the cage. There's a loose puck for Suzuki. He got upended. Out comes Jarvis. Checked at center. And now Walker will drive it in. 4.5 remaining here in the second period. Puck knocked in, but the Canadiens have to tag up. They were in ahead of the puck offside as Nikishin moves back out. That cut off at center by Evans. Into the middle it goes, and here's Bolduc. Through for Doc. Back to Matheson, who sends it wide. Around it goes, and kept in by Doc momentarily. And coming back, Bolduc. Matheson on the left wing. Kirby Doc's in. Carrier going to the net in front, and Anderson steered that away. Evans put it to the net, and Anderson stops that. Now the Hurricanes are out, and it's Jackson Blake, the second period goal scorer, playing it in. We got a penalty, and the Canadiens going to be shorthanded again.
I think too many men on the ice there. Marty St. Louis didn't see it in the live, but the official with 6 fingers up.
Montreal penalty, bench minor, too many men on the ice.
And that's one that you never like, just a sloppy change after a good chance here across. Just the lift of the stick there by Taylor Hall at the last second. Looked like it was going to maybe be a tap in on the back door as Carrier did a nice job of jumping up. And then let's look at the numbers. 3 in the zone, just 1, 2. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That is no question about that one. Again, fatigue. Fatigue and mental mistakes. And you go from March 10th, Chris. This is the 10th game for the Montreal Canadiens. This is only the 5th game for the Carolina Hurricanes. And it looks it right now. Yep. I mean, that's a short amount of time playing every other night. Tight games. Game 7 on the road in Buffalo. It's starting to take its toll here the last 2 games for the Montreal Canadiens.
There's a shot from the slot, stopped by Dobish as Stahl gets a look.
You talk about development. How about the development of that guy there? Just celebrated his birthday, 25th birthday in Game 4, and wasn't able to get the win. But man, as he developed, and you talk about having some confidence in a goaltender for the future, Dobish has been quite the story, hasn't he?
And with his heavy workload in the postseason, there's a backhand wide. He's tied for 4th in starts, regular season playoff combined for the entire year. Only Vejmelka, Dostal, and Vasilevsky have played more games than Jakub Dobish. Here's Aho. sure Rod Brind'Amour likes this lead. He'd like to see his power play start clicking with a little higher efficiency. Gostisbehere wanted it back. The pass back was broken up there by Dobson. Now Gostisbehere's got it. Jarvis on the move. Hands it off to Svechnikov. They rotate it and down low. Pass for Aho. Dobish to stop, and the rebound ricocheted away from Gostisbehere. Back in though. Shane Gostisbehere holds on and turns back. 50 points during the regular season for Gostisbehere. And he plays that across for Aho. Nick Ehlers. Gostisbehere remains in. He's at the side of the net, looking for the pass. Scores! Well, now they are hitting on all cylinders. A power play goal. 5-0.
Gostisbehere at that top quarterback in the power play slides down, and you could see Dooley with a quick little look. He knows he's on the backside there, just couldn't get down quick enough, and that one goes past. The stick is in the middle, so what does Jarvis do? Goes right underneath. It slid right underneath the skate there of Dooley as he's trying to get down on the ice, can't quite get there, and then the 5-hole open for a second, and Gostisbehere on that doorstep makes it a 5-0 game.
$18:02, the time of the goal. Gostisbehere scored 17 in his rookie year. As his second of the postseason. Jarvis and Ehlers the assists. Gostisbehere had 2 assists in Game 4 for Carolina. Here's Suzuki, Demidov, and Newhook back together. Frederik Andersen now on a record-breaking shutout run for Carolina. Here's Demidov in front. Suzuki stopped by Andersen. Maybe his best of the night. Our colleague Kevin Weeks had the old record here in Carolina. And Andersen's going to hold on to that and hear it from the fans.
Well, the one thing you can't do as a goaltender is say, okay, well, I wish I had more shots. If Andersen's just taking what has been given to him, but the one thing that you talk to anybody about his personality, he's just calm and cool. He doesn't change his reaction. If he's got 55 shots against, it's the same as what he's dealt with in these 12 and 13, and a calmness about him. The biggest knock for him, Chris, has been staying healthy throughout his career. When he's had some great runs in the playoffs, hasn't been durable. Well, this is kind of one of those runs for the ages. He must be savoring every minute of it.
Steady Freddy. He has been that in this postseason. So down to the final minute. Here in the second, 3 in the first. And Carolina keeping 2 more on the board. A 5-0 lead. It's Deneau, Slavkovsky, and Caulfield in the pass for Caulfield, knocked away by the reliable stick of Slavin. Hudson for Deneau. Veteran voice on that Canadian team. Around for Caulfield. Back for Deneau. Matheson moves up. Mike Matheson trying to get away from the checking. It does. To the net, jamming it. And Andersen stopped that. And again, the Carolina fans singing from the Montreal hymn book. There's a chance in front. Andersen. One more stop before the period is done. Three in the first, 2 in the second. The shots 24-14 through 40 minutes in Game 5. Vegas probably digging in now on game tape. Carolina, a 5-0 lead, looking to punch their ticket to the final.
Delivery of the game presented by Instacart. Get groceries delivered in as fast as 60 minutes. Rod Brindamore in the pursuit of the cup.
And then now that I have that, I want it for the guys. Like it's really different to be sitting back and going, man, I want it for you guys, because it changes your life. It really does.
Brindamore never pictured himself coaching anywhere other than here in Carolina. When he first took the job, he talked about upping the standard of what it meant to be a Hurricane. He is everything Hurricanes. It is where he wants to win again, Chris.
And Kyle, they're poised to win their 100th playoff game since the move to Raleigh. And Rod Brindamore has coached or played in, well, this would be 98.
98, yeah.
Unbelievable.
That is incredible. Talk about your fingerprints all over an organization.
So we start the third. Demidov to the attack, and he sends that wide of the net, trying to go far side. There's got to be a sense of the inevitable here for Montreal, but how do you try and finish what has been a tremendous 2 months?
I would guarantee that the message from Marty St. Louis in that intermission is, guys, I'm so proud of you the way you've played. Let's just go out and be proud of ourselves. Give another good effort like we have this entire run of playoffs. So many good moments, so many great performances. Nothing to be ashamed of. This is a good team you're playing against. Get out there with some pride and do your best.
Carrier's moved up on the play. The puck came out in front, and Stankoven will scamper away, working back into the Montreal zone. Hall overskates it, with Matheson watching him. Far side, Stankoven. Now sent around, and that goes by Taylor Hall. Left it there and swung back in deep, where Matheson takes a bump from Stankoven. Loose puck there, and Carrier will clean up the mess. Shots 24-15 here early in the third period. There's Sebastian Aho through center. Sent in by Gostisbehere. Noah Dobson. Dobson with again. Hounded and knocked down by Svechnikov. Struble up the boards. Texier bats it away, and here comes Deneau over the line with Anderson. And Deneau stumbles up against Gostisbehere, gets up, and with Anderson, they come up with the puck behind the Carolina net. To the line. That shot doesn't get to the net. Svechnikov back, and Nikishin sends it around, and this is going to slide the length of the ice. An icing call against Carolina.
Get game-changing internet and Canada's most reliable internet. Rogers Xfinity. We got you.
CBC has the news you want your way whenever you need it. Get the latest news at cbcnews.ca or download the CBC News app. Face off to the right of Anderson. It's won by Veleno. Hudson, who scored the last Montreal goal, got it to the net. Now Gooley puts it in front. Where is it? It was blocked by Gostisbehere. Evans tried to send it back to the line. It splits the defense and back into the Montreal zone. Up for Evans, trying to slide that through for Veleno. Jake Evans along the boards. Gets it to Bolduc and back. Gooley sends it deep. Evans and Bolduc after it. Zach Bolduc cycling it. That'll be picked off. Played to the line, but Bolduc kept it in. Evans a back pass, and it gets by Veleno. Bolduc, Evans, Lane Hudson shooting, and that deflected just wide of the net. Carrier knocks his man down. Bolduc after it. Slavin ahead, and Jankowski gets it out. That's the kind of zone time they were looking for
earlier. And still, though, a couple of good plays, but missed opportunities of actually getting the puck to the net. No shot on those plays.
Miller chopped it away. Suzuki intercepts. Caulfield trying to get to it behind the net, but Carolina's out. Up ahead, Martinook with Stahl. Back to Martinook. His shot. The Dobush stops that. Nick Suzuki away. To the red line. He'll try and drop it in. It goes around to the near side. Walker unable to come up with it, but played back to the Canadiens line. On comes Blake and Hall and Stankoven. They've been the difference here in game number 5. Each have scored in the game, and Blake's looking for more. Jackson Blake stopped by Dobush. Slafkovsky sends it into the corner, and here's Dobson up ahead. Doc nearly split the defense, but unable to get through. A pass for Blake too far. Icing against the Canes.
Well, Blake, you mentioned this line has been so dangerous. Goal and assist in this game for Blake. He's the recipient of just a pass. Dobson's a little late getting there, but another aggressive play. Dobush, you got to give him credit, just continues to battle like he did in Game 4 in Montreal. You can't do much about the score when your guys haven't been able to put it in, just trying to shut the door as much as he can. Another solid effort despite giving up 5.
There's a face-off win. Dobson shot deflecting wide of the net. Off the stick of Slafkovsky, and he goes back to center. Dumps it back in. Dobson holds the zone and then has it knocked away by Hall. Dobush knocked it down.
He's already had one long stretch pass. He was looking to give it and dish it again.
Got the Dobush-Svechnikov stare down. And that's off of Carolina sticking out.
Well, you wonder what effect this will have on Dobush coming into next year. Already as a rookie this year, 29 wins was more than any other rookie goaltender, and you could never imagine the influence of what this long playoff run has been for him as well. You get to the conference final, you get 9 wins, and just all the experiences that you hope will just grow inside for the summer and have him come back a more confident and determined goaltender with now lots of experience, Chris.
Well, there was a time halfway through the year, Jacob Fowler's called up, and you're wondering, is Fowler getting groomed to take over? And Dobush really dug in and has established himself as, we can say, clear-cut number 1. You can number your goaltenders,
can't you? Yeah, that too. You think of Sam Montembeault, who you thought, okay, where is he going to be in the mix? And you got 3 goaltenders, and Fowler, a youngster, only got in for 8:32 of playoff time, but you know that he comes to camp in a very different mindset as well, having watched this and been through it and go through the practices and the intensity of playoff hockey.
Past 5 minutes of the third. Broken stick here. Svechnikov dropped it, but Hudson able to intercept. Dobush will one-hand that around. Deneau gets it out to center. Anderson goes rink wide. Texier after it there, and Chatfield regains possession for Carolina. There's Dobush playing that behind the net, and Matheson, short pass, flipped out. Evans unable to knock that down, and that's icing Montreal.
Just the story of this game, no real open passing lanes. It's been frustrating trying to get out of the zone. You know the faces say it all, don't they? The journey of trying to get here, the anticipation of this round and getting to the conference final. 6 players were in that Stanley Cup final in 21. Brendan Gallagher, the only one not playing there. And you think the experience factor getting to this conference final will hopefully prepare them next year for being in a growth position, much like these Carolina Hurricanes. No success in the conference final for Rod Brindamore 3 straight times, and it's looking like the 4th will finally get him as a coach into the Stanley Cup final.
Bolduc played that back. Jankowski there, and they scrum at center ice. It got past Dobish. Matheson ducks a check. There's Bolduc. 12 down there at the line by Martinook and forced out as Demidov has to go back into his own zone. Trying to wind it up. That'll bounce back. Anderson will play it off onto the left side past Ehlers and swung in deep.
Finally, Freddie playing it so there's no icing. It's like keep the clock going if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. Penalty coming up here with
going to be a trip by Jordan Stahl. And so 7-12 into the third. Montreal with a power play chance.
Well, you look for something positive to happen. You got a power play coming up for the Canadiens. Good little cutback there by stick to the foot, Struble down, power play coming up.
With Rogers Xfinity Internet, my whole house is ready for baseball. So this is where I buy all my memorabilia. Boom! Just got Clement's childhood glove. Mom. She's really come through for me. And this is where I stream everything.
Sweet setup.
It's all for you guys.
Michael, what is this?
Oh, yeah. That's where I keep my modem.
Get Major League Internet
Skip backwards.
with Rogers Xfinity.
Canadiens power play upcoming, 5-0 Carolina. Frederik Andersen 0-8 in his first chances to move on, but it's been a much different story in this series and in the last couple of years.
You know, I've always said the playoffs are the great equalizer. They can prop up what was a disappointing regular season. His goals against average over 3 in the regular season. Here's his history in series clinching games. His first 8 not able to get anything done. Look at the goals against the last 7 and especially this year. You know, looking to go 12-1 in a playoff run is quite incredible. And you talk about erasing any negatives that happened during the regular season. He's done just that, and he's been razor sharp this entire playoff.
Almost 157 minutes without giving up a goal. Canadiens will try and change that here with their 4th power play of the night. One for 11 in the series for Nick Suzuki and company as they get into the zone, in behind the net, a chance to clear, and it's out of the reach of Caulfield and down the ice. Not by percentage, but the Canadiens do lead the Stanley Cup playoffs with 14 power play goals. Suzuki in, leaves it Slavkovsky. Now Caulfield. Slavkovsky getting it back from Suzuki. Hudson across. Demidov wants it, fires it right on. A hot shot, but Anderson square to the shooter again. Demidov. Slavkovsky deflected in front, and that was a terrific stop by Frederik Andersen.
And we said it's just been easy going for Andersen. He hasn't really had to battle through much. He hasn't had a lot of traffic in front of him, but a couple of good plays, a pass to the outlet with a traffic in front, good tip by Suzuki, but tracking that across, Andersen slides, gets him on the blocker, he's able to hold on, and 2 saves on this power play alone. And when you've only got 18 shots, that seems like a lot of work for a small period of time. He hasn't had a lot of busy moments.
18's been an outburst for the Canadiens based on the last few games. Maybe another chance coming here, but that puck stolen by Robinson. Out with Jankowski. 2-on-1. Eric Robinson, and the puck hopped over his stick. So 20 seconds left in the power play. Texier's in. Left side. Almost got it back himself. Slavin around the boards and back out.
Well, there's another guy in Slavin. Remember game 1, -4. Rod Brindamore said, in 8 years, I've never seen him play a game like that. Well, he's responded exactly the way the head coach expected. He's had a wonderful series since.
And in game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, he'll play his 100th playoff game. Stankoven in, dropping it off. Blake is checked. Evans sends away Carrier. Dropping it down low, and after it goes Deneau. Here's Deneau had his stick broken on a slash, and that's going to be another penalty against Carolina.
Love the NHL? Bet99 Sportsbook and Casino brings every shot, goal, and storyline to life. Experience it your way. Download the Bet99 app.
Well, Chris, I can guarantee you Rod Brindamore didn't want the period to go like this. His team taking penalties and having to defend, and you just want the clock to just tick, tick, tick away and going a whole lot slower when you have to be on the defensive throughout this time. The head coach never stops grinding, does he?
Not Rod Brindamore.
No, it's like it's a thankless job, and couldn't tell that his team is 10 minutes away from going to the final.
Here's Caulfield trying to break the goose egg. It'll be Demidov firing it, and that ends up out of play.
There's the captain again in a 5-0 game, going out and just making sure he gets that shot block. And, you know, Rod was talking about the efforts of Jordan Staal and how he never cheats a day in the years that he's been here. What a great career he's had. 20th year in the league, won Stanley Cup. One of only 2 guys on this Carolina team who have won, Carrier the other. And he's hungry to try to get another.
37 years of age. Canadians win the draw. Hudson, Demidov fired that, deflecting over the net off Slavkovsky. Suzuki drops it for Hudson. They swap spots, and Suzuki down low. Caulfield from a sharp angle, and Carolina clears.
Again, no wasted movement by Frederik Andersen. He kind of anticipated a tough angle shot, just got himself down, made sure he closed all the holes, and didn't give Caulfield anything to slide under.
Suzuki in. Demidov back to the line. 50 seconds gone in the power play. Lane Hudson puts it to the net. Suzuki on it. Got it to Demidov. Checked there by Miller. DeAndre Miller doesn't clear. Here's a chance right in front. Caulfield scores. Cole Caulfield breaks the long shutout bid of Frederik Andersen. Montreal on the board.
And exactly why for Rod Brindamore, you stay out of the box, right? You're trying to play for your goaltender now, trying to shut the door. This hasn't been a lot of open ice for Cole Caulfield here, but he does a great job, and this is just a goal scorer's instinct. Quick little puck movement to get the 5-hole open. When he makes this move, once he gets the puck, just backhand, forehand, and right before Frederik Andersen is able to get set. Watch the stick of Andersen. Doesn't quite get there in time. It's off to the side before the pads can close. And Caulfield's done plenty of that this year with the 51 goals in the regular season. No, it doesn't feel good, but a power play goal to make it a 5-1 game.
6 now in the postseason for Cole Caulfield. The shutout streak ends at 160 minutes and 13 seconds.
Well, and of little consequence. That's his 13th playoff point this year. That's a career high for him. He had 12 in 21 when they went to the Stanley Cup final.
He had 4 conference final goals that year. That is second of this series. He scored in the Game 1 victory. Here's Eric Robinson looking to center off a stick into the corner. Gostisbehere chopped at it. Carrier will bring it out. Jim Fox is a radio colleague of ours here, and after the second period he went by and he said, you know, I've come back from 5-0.
Yeah,
he was part of the Miracle of Manchester.
So. Edmonton Oilers 5-0 lead in the third, and Darrell Evans still living that one down, a game winner. That was something, wasn't it?
One of the great celebrations of all time.
Yep.
There's Newhook putting it in front, and that picked off, and away goes Hall. Taylor Hall back the other way. Slavin in. Stankoven behind the net, trying to connect there with Blake. Checked by Doc. Reversing that, and Alex Newhook will take over. No elimination game magic from Newhook yet. Here tonight, Stankoven right back in, and a shot by Ehlers, gloved by Dobish. So Cole Caulfield with his 6th on the power play from Lane Hudson. A bright spot and a tough night.
Spawn, skip forward 15 seconds.
Right car, right.
It'd be easy to forget whenever a playoff run ends in disappointing fashion, but for Cole Caulfield, it was a historic season for him in joining the 50-goal club. Not many have done it in the history of the Montreal Canadiens, and it's a pretty exclusive elite list for those that have. A great season for Montreal, a great season for Caulfield, and a run to the 3rd round that not many envisioned from the outset of training camp, Chris.
The window is just opening.
Yeah, it's not closing, that's for sure.
Lane Hudson assisting on that goal by Caulfield. 79 assists. Regular season and playoffs, that's a Montreal Canadiens blue line record. And they tell me there's been some pretty good defensemen.
Yeah, there's been a few, hasn't there? Really has been a remarkable season.
Ehlers across. In is Martinook. He'll cycle it back towards Stahl. Well, the obvious Vegas and Carolina are the stories of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but if there's the next tier, it's Montreal and their run. 7 games and a thrilling series against Tampa Bay, and then the Saviors. Newhook in, and a glove stop by Anderson.
Those kind of chances with speed in the neutral zone have been few and far between. You know, you think back maybe the breakaway in overtime by Suzuki, but Newhook finally getting some open ice, finally getting a little bit of speed. Does a nice move on Gostisbehere, but look at the calmness of Frederik Andersen there as well. Top of his blue paint, able to just flash the glove and make the save.
Off the draw, Matheson checked. It's flipped to center. Slavkovsky there. Chatfield working on him. Slid back in for Doc. Checked by Slavin. And after it is Newhook. Slavin working that back behind the net for Seth Jarvis, who has his 50th career Stanley Cup playoff point here tonight. That's an icing call against Carolina. Well, Canada's first professional women's soccer league is back and bringing the heat. Watch the Northern Super League all season on CBC Gem. Fans here have been in good voice. We've heard the Olays. They had the Blink 182. I don't know if they thought they might have been playing Carolina or Colorado, excuse me.
Yeah.
They are ready to party here in North Carolina.
That's amazing. 20 years have passed since that special moment here for the Carolina fans.
Bolduc back, and there's Evans' shot off a leg. Picked up by Veleno. Zach Bolduc on it. In behind Evans. Jake Evans, who's had a terrific playoff run. Playing higher in the lineup than he will likely, when all is said and done with this team, that will have lots of opportunities to tinker with this lineup with such great draft capital and prospects coming. Dobson gets away from the forechecking of Robinson. And here's Suzuki over the line with Caulfield. Here's a chance for Demidov right on. We probably had more chances in this third period than we've seen in the last, 5 periods before that.
Yeah, a little bit more open ice, isn't it? Not nearly as aggressive defense by the Hurricanes.
Caulfield in, Demidov back, looked across, trying to get it to Suzuki. Watched by Robinson. Caden Gooley's got it. Rink wide. That's off Robinson and a souvenir in the seats. So the flag flying high tonight as these fans get ready for a Stanley Cup final.
Well, you be the judge whether these things matter. When they won the Prince of Wales Trophy in 2002, Ron Francis grabbed the trophy, of course, lost the final that year to Detroit. 4 years later, Brind'Amour, the captain, no touching of the Prince of Wales, and they won it all just a few weeks later in 2006. Now, Brind'Amour himself, not overly superstitious, was never a playoff beard guy as a player. We'll see where Jordan Staal takes things here in a matter of moments, Chris.
Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly is in the building. And the Canadiens have lifted Jakub Dobiš for an extra attacker here with 4:38 to go.
Yeah, I guess why not? Not worried about giving up one. You're trying desperately to get one. Make it interesting.
And they win the draw. We'll come back to Hudson right at the line. Kept it alive. Into the corner. It'll be centered. Suzuki or Danault, and another shot from an angle by Slafkovsky. Bounced down the ice off the post. Racing after it is Ehlers. Here's Nick Ehlers in front, and he just missed. Martinick stretching out, trying to tip that. Away goes Demidov. Next shot for the Canadiens will be their most in a game in this series. They had 22 in game one. Under 4 to play. Slafkovsky redline it in. Anderson out to try and knock that down. It goes off a Canadian right to Svechnikov. Aho! 2-on-1 break. Seth Jarvis doesn't miss that. 2 points on the night for the Canadian Olympian. And again, it's a 5-goal Carolina lead. And we can expect to see the Seth Jarvis delegation.
You think the boys are
in the Stanley Cup final?
Can we get tickets?
They're not passing up a trip to Vegas, I guarantee that.
If they did the Four Nations and all that, they're going to be here for sure.
There's Ehlers, Jankowski behind the net. Mark Jankowski takes a long look, rolling it towards the front of the net. Carrier was tied up and Montreal clears. You're wondering how Carolina did against Vegas. Strange schedule, but the 2 Stanley Cup finalists finished their regular season series in October. And the Golden Knights won both 4-1 and 6-3.
And Chris, you remember that first game of the final is always a little interesting because the teams don't have the rivalry, don't have the built-in having played 4 or 3 times early on. It always takes a little bit to get that hatred and the intensity up. It'll be interesting to see, having not played for so long. Too many men on the ice again. Let's hear the call.
Montreal penalty, bench minor, too many men on the ice.
That's 2 on the night. Well, a lot of mixed up lines. It's who's coming off and who's going on. 4 guys go on, and only 3 went off. So just a little sloppiness mentally, just trying to get to the finish line here. And here's what a good coach does in Rod Brind'Amour. You got a 6-1 game and a power play late. That 4th line, if you don't want to call it 4, you don't have to, but that he relies upon in so many difficult situations, he gives them the power play.
When we called it the 4th line, he says, I know who you mean. And the puck flipped away, and it's worth noting, very few hits in this third period out of respect, really, at this
think
point.
a gentleman's agreement, what do you think? A 5-0 period coming in, and, a little bit more cautious for Carolina. You don't want to lose anybody with a tough hit or an injury with so much at stake starting here on Tuesday night.
Jake Evans shorthanded. He'll go for a skate, play keep away against Jankowski. And now flip to center. Cross this pair there. Jordan Stahl in, back it comes to Wheelers. One of the biggest goals of this series. His overtime goal to tie it. And around the concourse in the overtime intermission of Game 2, and this was not a jubilant crowd.
Yeah, it was a nervous crowd, wasn't it? You thought of that. He all of a sudden could go down 2-0 to Montreal, and that one goal just kind of changed the whole perspective.
They had seen the movie before.
Exactly.
But it's a different Carolina team. And now down to the final minute in this Eastern Conference Final. A storm warning has been issued, and it will be the Hurricanes and the Golden Knights in the 2026 Stanley Cup Final. Well, they lost the first game here after that long layoff, but the rust came off quickly, and 4 consecutive wins has Rod Brind'Amour's team in the Stanley Cup Final.
Well, how about Freddie Anderson? 2 goals against or less in all but one of his playoff games this year. It's been a really magical run to get to the final for number 31, and there's the head coach acknowledging what a job he did. Got to be an emotional time with the loss of his agent and friend Claude Lemieux, and the emotions there getting to the Stanley Cup Final.
Frederik Andersen has finally advanced to the Stanley Cup Final. This was his 98th postseason game, his 58th win, and what a spring it has been for Jakub Dobeš.
Could you have asked for anything more from the young netminder? Marty St. Louis giving him the confidence, and Dobeš doing exactly what he needed to.
That is an emotional Frederik Andersen. What a run it's been for Montreal. They gave us a lot of thrills in the last couple of months.
It really has been special. You know, all the great strides that the Canadiens were able to make, starting with the first round, to go against a veteran team and win 7 one-goal games and a Game 7 on the road in back-to-back first and second round series.
Let's head to ice level. Here's Kyle.
All right, Jordan, 17 years since you got your hands on the Stanley Cup, relatively early in your career. What's the wait been like to get another crack at it?
Yeah, it's been long. So much work has gotten into this, and just happy to be where we're at and have a chance, like you said, and just proud of this group. Amazing effort. We sucked this whole series, especially, and I mean, this whole playoff's been amazing, but we got a lot of work to do yet, and but we're looking forward to it.
17 years for that. It's almost 12 years since you were first traded here to Carolina. I just wonder, when you look around this crowd and what y'all felt here tonight, what stood out about the path to tonight?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs for me here too, and I mean, this crowd's unbelievable. I've seen it in the dark days, and to see you sitting here on this ice with this crowd is such a dream come true, and I'm so proud of everyone. I mean, it's been so amazing, and I want to keep it rolling.
It's clear that even though the results haven't always been there for your team, it's been an organization full of people wanting to do great things. Just what stood out about this whole franchise, and as you've gotten to know it so well?
Yeah, I mean, there's endless people in behind the scenes, especially from the owner, the training staff, the coaching, and all these players, and everyone in between. There's so many people behind us, and on top of everything that we need, and these guys are at their best because of everyone else around us, and it's been an amazing organization to be a part of, and I'm so proud of everyone.
Your goaltender, Frederik Andersen, understandably a very emotional couple days for him. What did you think about all the circumstances considered, the job he did tonight?
I mean, I don't want to get too emotional, but I mean, the guys, he stepped up and played unbelievable, and I know he had a heavy heart, but the way he played was remarkable, and we got to keep it moving forward for him.
Jordan, congratulations. Thank you.
Chris, 17 years between cups. It would be the longest between two cups if Jordan Staal can win this year.
It's another reminder of just the emotions that bring a good team together, and how they look out for each other, they care for each other. They really do want to pull for each other, and they feel it when one's hurting, and you come up and find a way to get the job done, which they've done in dramatic fashion. Just the third team now to go 12-1 into the Stanley Cup final.
Eric Tulsky, the general manager, has added pieces like Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, and they have become, big difference makers, certainly in this series and in these playoffs.
You think of the difference of this team that was finally able to get over the conference final hurdle where they faltered before. I think Keandre Miller a big part of that as well.
Time to join public address announcer Wade Minter.
And at this time, National Hockey League Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly will present the Prince of Wales Trophy to the Eastern Conference champion, Carolina Hurricanes. Accepting the trophy is team captain Jordan Staal and your 2025-26 Carolina Hurricanes.
Waiting for the support staff to come in too.
And Chris, it's a picture you have to take, but I guarantee you, it's a picture that nobody has up in their house. It's the next one that they're going to want to have, and that's the most emotional one. Started with my old teammate Wayne Gretzky in 1988 at center ice at the Northlands Coliseum, and this crowd looking for the next picture with the Stanley Cup sitting in the middle.
And for those scoring at home, nobody got close to that piece of hardware. The next one is the one they want to touch. Bill Daly each year has the easiest job going.
He doesn't have to say anything, just stand there, take a picture.
Well, a team that won 53 games during the regular season, 113 points.
Well, think of their only Stanley Cup win. They had home ice against our Edmonton Oilers, and it was a Game 7 in this building that allowed them to get the win. I think it's a pretty significant thing that they get home ice against the Vegas Golden Knights this go-round.
It will begin on Tuesday, June 2nd. The 5-game elimination moves the schedule up 2 days.
Another reminder of how many people behind the scenes are so important. You heard Jordan Stahl talk about it. It's not just the effort of the players, it's everybody down the line and just how critical they are to the success of any team to get to this point.
Well, we know people like Mike Sundheim have been here for as long as the team's been in Carolina. And indeed, that is the next stop. The Golden Knights will be arriving in the next couple of days. Again, 4-1 and 6-3 were the scores in games that really are of no significance now since they were played back in October. There were some injuries that Eric Tulsky's team had to go through early, but it's a much different team now.
Well, you look at this series, too. It was the first period, right? It hurt them in Game 1. They scored the first goal in all 5 games. Game 1, the Canadiens responded with 4 quick ones, but I can't help but think that momentum going into the final, can you get Vegas back on their heels? And that's something Carolina did exceptionally well, being able to score that first one each and every game.
Back to ice level here again is Kyle.
Alongside Jacob Slavin, you're off to your first Stanley Cup final. I'd just love to know what you're feeling.
Excited. It's been a long road with this group. We've been close, but this is just that last step that we need to take, and now we got a lot of work to do in front of us, but pure excitement right now.
I know the photo of everybody in front of that trophy is not ultimately the photo you want by the time it's all said and done, but there's a few years that you've been on the other side of the handshake line when that trophy's been presented. And just what was it like to be on the right side?
It's awesome to be on the right side, but I mean, once we got everyone in there, all the staff, everything, we're a family here, and this organization, the culture here is unbelievable. So obviously we do the work on the ice, but there's a lot of people that do the work behind the scenes, and so I'm just grateful to be able to have everyone here, the organization that we do. It's an unbelievable experience so far.
Gold medal in Milan and now a chance to play for a Stanley Cup. Do you allow yourself to appreciate what you've all got to experience the last few months?
It's been a crazy year. Injuries at the beginning of the year. Obviously the gold medal is awesome, and Stanley Cup would be unbelievable. I'm just thankful for God, the opportunity he's given me to glorify him on the world stage and now the biggest stage in hockey with the Stanley Cup. And so I'm just going with that mindset, just keep glorifying him.
Lastly, you've been around here a long time. What does it mean to be a Hurricane in your mind?
Oh, that's a deep question. I think you look at Roddy, you look at the way he leads this team. He's a winner, and I think to be a Hurricane really just means family. Family is what's come to my mind. Is we're a family here. Everyone pulls on the same rope. Everyone has each other's back, and so just the family ties that we have here.
Well said, Jacob. Congrats.
Thank you.
A milestone night for Carolina, their 100th playoff victory, and it sends them to the Stanley Cup final. They swept Ottawa, they swept Philadelphia, and after that tough opening game, they win 4 straight against Montreal. Rob McLean and company coming up next.
Thanks to Chris and Craig and Kyle. You know, the emotion on Freddie Kelly. 33 years ago tonight, I was on the ice. Totally different circumstance, of course, but that was the night you advanced to the Stanley Cup final by winning the conference final with the Los Angeles Kings. And you did your interview, and you were...
Yes, with you.
It was all pouring out of you, right? How you contained that in a dramatic and... Wow, what a job. But, you know, they only gave up 89 shots in the series, Carolina. That is a record for the fewest allowed in 2 overtimes in 5 games.
Well, you think of what Freddie went through the last couple of days, but also in the season. Like, when he started the playoffs versus Ottawa, like Elliott was going on about how statistically he had his worst season in the National Hockey League. So this has got to be, besides the last, 36 hours, the entire season.